Good morning, all. Today, that is Monday, June 7th, 2021, and we are in the class for Master in Business Administration, second semester students, and the subject is Human Resource Management. And the topic that we are going to discuss today is industrial discipline. All right. So it is the first unit in your fourth. This is the first unit of your first unit. This is the first topic of your fourth unit, right? Industrial discipline. So let's get started. Now, if we talk about industrial discipline, then it is very necessary to maintain harmonious relation in an organization in order to make an organization a success. So for maintaining harmonious relationship, it is very much necessary that proper discipline should be maintained in an organization. There is no organization that can grow and develop itself without discipline. For growth and development of any organization, proper discipline is very needed, right? Indiscipline is a matter of great concern for most of the organization because indiscipline will lead to disobedience of commands. So indiscipline should always be taken seriously in the organization. The other two problems like absenteeism, labor turnover. These are the two another major problem other than indiscipline in an organization. Absenteeism and labor turnover. We will be discussing them in detail also along with indiscipline in the slides to come. Right. Now, moving further, let us understand the concept of industrial discipline, what industrial discipline is all about. Right. Industrial discipline may be defined as the willingness to cooperate and follow the rules and regulations of the organization. Okay, willing to cooperate and follow the rules of the organization is actually the discipline in the organization. It aims at it aims at securing consistent behavior from the employees, and they should be following the norms of the organization which are being formulated in order to regulate their behavior, right? Discipline is necessary for the democratic way of life. With discipline you can live your life democratically, right? Discipline means orderliness, as simple as that. In simple words, discipline may be defined as orderliness, right? Which means there should be absence of chaos, irregularity, and confusion in the behavior of the employees. When chaos, irregularity will not be there in the behavior of the employee will be disciplined, right? Disciplined employees cooperate disciplined employees cooperate properly and behave in a normal and orderly way in the organization, and this is what is desired of the employees. Now, discipline may be defined as a force that can prompt individual or a group of individual to observe rules, regulations, procedures which are necessary to be followed while you are a part of that organization, because these are among the rules, and in order to be disciplined you have to follow these, right? Because these norms are being made for the effective functioning of the organization, and if you follow them then you will be set to contributing to the effective functioning of the organization, and if you are not following them you will set to be doing indiscipline in the organization. ठीक है, Ordway Teat had defined discipline in his own words. That definition you can see on that you can see on slide. I will not be going into this definition. You need to learn this definition and quote whenever you are defining discipline, right? Now, discipline is good when employees are following the company rules and regulations by their own will, but when they are discipline is said to be bad when they are following the rules and regulations of the organization forcefully. That means they are not ready to follow, but because of the threat of punishment and rest of the things, the employees are following the rules and regulations. And this is the point which should be taken due care of. You have to understand why employees are not following discipline, or why the employees are not following the norms of the organization willingly. Employees should be following the norms of the organization willingly so that they may keep themselves motivated. And if they are not doing so, then they will definitely be demotivated. And this demotivation will lead to serious consequences, which should be taken care of at the initial stage only, right? Because in the times to come, the employee will stop following the norms and start disobeying them, right? So it is very necessary to understand the reasons why employees are not following the organizational norms willingly, right? What are the reasons behind that? It is very necessary to understand that, right? Now, discipline is a positive concept, right? And absence of indiscipline does not means discipline, right? It is very important to understand discipline is a positive concept, but absence of discipline indiscipline is not said to be discipline. If you are not indisciplined, then you cannot said to be disciplined, right? It is nothing like that, that you are not doing any indiscipline then you are disciplined. No, absence of indiscipline is not discipline, right? Discipline is something more than that, right? Discipline is oriented, discipline is punishment oriented, some people think, right? Some people think that discipline is can be established only with the threat of the punishment. It is true to a great extent, but not completely, right? The penalties or punishment should be used as the last weapon in order to restore discipline in the organization, right? There are many managers and supervisors. There are many managers and supervisors in different organizations who view discipline primarily as a means to enforce external threats for responsible behavior. It is their outlook, right? But they do not place any reliance on spontaneous self-discipline. You have to rely on self-discipline. You have to make your employee to understand and self-discipline them so that they will not compelled to be disciplined. And self-discipline is comparatively far better than disciplining the employee forcefully, right? You need to motivate them, you need to make them understand that they should be self-disciplined, right? Rather than they should be made disciplined by their supervisors, right? So the many managers and supervisors expect the orderly behavior from the employees to depend primarily on fear on penalties, right? They think that with the threat of the penalties they can always make the employee behave accordingly, right? That is the needs, that is the reason these managers and supervisors use discipline as a measure of punishment, but it becomes negative. As I said earlier, discipline is a positive approach, but if you try to force discipline with the use of penalty, it will become a negative approach, because the managers are using penalty as a threat to impose discipline, right? And in order to secure good human relation, you are threatening the employee to be disciplined through penalties. So this discipline, this approach is a negative approach, and it will not be well taken by the employer, because nobody wants to get threatened from time to time, right? You need to motivate your people to get self-disciplined, so that so that this display they may be taking discipline in the positive manner, right, and not in a negative manner. Now, aspects of discipline. If we talk about aspects of discipline, there are, broadly speaking, there are two aspects of disciplines. Number one, positive aspect and negative aspect of discipline, right? A gist of which we have seen in the earlier slide also, right? Now, coming down to the positive aspect of discipline, employees believes that discipline is following the rules, regulations, and standards of behavior. That is what employee believes, that discipline means following the rules and regulations of the organization, following the norms related to the desired behavior in an organization. Right? Discipline may be in the positive, discipline may take the form of positive support and reinforcement for approved action. Discipline takes place the form of positive support, right? If you are positively supporting your people to follow the rules and regulations of the organization, then people will love to follow that, right? Moreover, you are reinforcing them for actions, means if they are doing right actions, you are appreciating them, and this appreciation will reinforce repetition of their actions, right? And the aim of discipline is to help the individual in molding your behavior and developing yourself in a proper manner, right? Like you might have seen small children, if you say that yes, you are doing good, yes, keep it up, yes, very good, very good, you are appreciating a child, a 2 year, a 5 years old child, then he will understand that whatever he is doing is getting appreciated by the observer, then he is likely to repeat the same behavior again and again. This is reinforcement, right? This is reinforcement, and this is what you have to do with your employees in order to reinforce his behavior, right? So that you may be able to mold his behavior and develop him in a correct manner, right? This approach is known as positive approach, or this approach may also be called as constructive approach or self discipline approach, right? So this is positive discipline, or you can say constructive discipline, or self discipline approach, right? Now, positive discipline takes place whenever organizational climate is having certain important aspects. In order to have positive discipline, you need to have certain components in your organizational environment or organizational climate, like adequate remuneration and incentives, right? If you are paying adequately to all the employees, remuneration and incentives, these are certain conditions for positive discipline. That you need to be fair enough in payment of wages and incentives to your employee. You should not be discriminating in wages and incentives with the employees. So these are some of the conditions with the help of which you can establish positive discipline, right? You are providing proper opportunities for promotions to all. You are appreciating all those employees who are performing their job well, right? You are reinforcing you are reinforcing you are reinforcing approved personal behavior of your employees, etc. If you are following all these things, you may be able to use discipline positively, right? It motivates the employee in order to follow or obey or abide with the rules and regulations of the organization and develop himself as a self-motivated, self-disciplined employee, right? Now, second is your negative aspect of discipline. What happens, employees do not believe in discipline sometimes, right? Because it is difficult to be in discipline, right? You need to mold yourself, you need to adjust yourself according to the conditions or the environment in order to be disciplined. It is very much necessary that you should everybody wants to follow his own rules and regulations for himself, right? But he observed problem when he is following rules and regulations made by some different people for his life, right? So there it happens sometimes that there are certain people who do not want to follow discipline, right? They do not believe in discipline, that why should somebody else is fixing the schedule for my life, right? And it's difficult to follow too. So people, there are certain people who do not like to follow discipline. Some of the time there may be some people who do not like to follow discipline, right? In such a cases, they do not abide with the rules, regulation, and desired standard of behavior in the organization, right? Therefore, disciplinary programs should be there that should be enforcing discipline and force him to obey the orders and instructions and functions according to the set rules and regulations. And how they are enforcing it, by giving warning to that employees, imposing penalties and other forms of punishment to those who are not abiding with the discipline as established by the organization, right? This approach to discipline is known as negative approach or corrective approach or punitive approach, right? These may be the three names for this particular approach, right? This is autocratic in nature because it requires imposition of penalties and punishment. That is the reason it is autocratic in nature, because the subordinates are having no role in formulating the rules and regulations, and they will be punished if they are not following these rules and regulations. And these rules and regulations for the subordinates will be for will are being formulated by the superiors. Moving further, negative or enforced discipline means that people are forced to follow the rules and regulations on the basis of fear, right? They are using coercion in order to make people follow the rules and regulations. Use of fear is being made in order to enforce the people to follow the rules and regulations in the organization, right? Like fine, demotions, penalties, transfers. These are certain components in order to create fear among the employees so that discipline may be enforced on those employees, right? But with these components, you can only have minimum level of performance from your subordinates, right? Because they work on the basis of fear, right? You can have minimum amount of performance because you are making them work on the basis of fear, right? Punishment, penalty, demotions, fines, etc. provides a climate that creates demotivation among the employees, because nobody wants to remain in fear for a longer period of time, and this fear or coercion will adversely impact the productivity of the employee particularly. That is the reason this kind of climate is not suitable for achievement of the goals of the organization, and it is also not suitable for in enhancing the degree of morale of the employees. Now, importance of discipline in industry, how important discipline is in the industry, right? Discipline is an important part of life, right? Indiscipline means chaos and disorder, right? In an industrial enterprise, it is very much necessary to understand the forces that are playing their role, and to administer the employees closely so that there may know there may occur no indiscipline, right? And you need to observe the employee very closely that whether they are following the discipline as established by the organization for them or not, right? Human resources can only be used well if there are discipline in the industry, and if there is no proper discipline in the industry, the human resource cannot be utilized to its fullest. It will become very difficult for you to extract the full out of your human resource in case if there is no proper discipline in the organization, right? Now, discipline should not be established with the help of fear or punitive action. Rather, discipline should be established in the organization with the help of voluntary actions, right? A worker will definitely work well in the required manner, but under a worker may work in a required manner if he is enforced, but he will be in conflict with his natural impulse and will be under continuous pressure, and it will not be suitable for his productivity, because in the long run his productivity will decline, and if he got a better opportunity then he will also quit the organization. So you should not be imposing discipline, you should rather be motivating your people to follow the discipline. You should be making them understand why they need to be disciplined, right? What objectives or what benefits they will be getting if they are disciplined at the individual level and also at the organizational level, right? You need to take steps in order to promote confidence among the employees and the employers, and highlight the identity of the interests of the employees and the employers in work in following the code of disciplines in the organizations, because it with the help of that code of discipline, following that code of discipline, only you will be able to achieve the desired goals of the organization within the stipulated time frame. Now, maintenance of discipline is very necessary in an organization in order to attain the maximum productivity of the workers, but also the overall productive is also important for the overall productivity of the nation, right? It is because of discipline in that proper industrial relations can be established, and a harmonious industrial relations can be established in between the employees and the employer, right? Self discipline is the highest form of discipline in an organization, and management should always try to encourage self discipline among the employees as far as possible, because self discipline is the best form of discipline within any organization, right? Discipline, true discipline is actually the education, because it changes the attitude of the worker towards their work and their workplace. If you educate the employees properly the importance and need of discipline, then definitely yes, they will be having a different attitude and a different aptitude towards their work and workplace. Therefore it should be understand and this there should therefore we should be understand that discipline is should be developed from within an individual, right? It should not be imposed, it should be developed within an individual, right? And that is the reason discipline is reformative and not punitive, right? Now, principles of industrial discipline. Principles of industrial discipline is an important topic, and it contains certain principles on the basis of on which discipline actually focuses and depends, right? Now let's understand the principles of disciplines.